Hey folks, welcome back to the next video series. I am gonna try to get all the animations, or at least the main animations, set up in this video, but I do want to mention um, I've been thinking about when I would start to actually worry about multiplayer because I've already written code that obviously is not going to work in multiplayer. This player controller code, for example, all of these inputs need to work differently for multiplayer to work. I need to work on the aircraft itself class and on the game mode needs some tweaking. But I think I want to get these animations in first before I deal with that because I think once I have these animations working, it'll sort of demonstrate to me what properties I need to replicate in the aircraft itself, and I'm going to need to create my own struct. My own struct here. I'm going to end up doing something like ustruct, um, you know, f aircraft or fox aircraft state something. Whoops, something like this that holds all of the properties that I need to pull off the animations and whatever all the clients are going to need to know about all the different aircraft. I'm going to end up having all of those properties in here, and then we're going to end up with uh, a pointer to that aircraft state in my aircraft class, and we'll replicate it so that it shows up on all the clients. But I think it'll help me figure out exactly what I'm going to need in this aircraft state class to go ahead and get the animations working before I worry about that. So I'm going to not worry about the multiplayer just yet. We haven't gone so far that it's going to take, days to get the multiplayer right. Um, but we do soon want to start thinking about it because if we go too far, it'll start to become painful to implement it later. I also want to mention the map with cesium on it. I tweaked it a little bit to get it to work, and mainly what I had to do was the georeferencing system. This georeferencing system needed to match, the origin location needs to match with the cesium georeference. Whoa, don't want that. There we go. So you can see that my latitude, longitude, and height are all going to match in both of these. And then I currently, in order to get it to work without the aircraft crashing, I just have the player start set way high in the air so that the terrain loads before my aircraft falls through it. That's not going to be the long term way I'm going to handle that, but for now, you can see it didn't even work there. Let me try that again. No, need to place it a little bit higher, I guess. There we go. So you can see that this now works. And like I said, this is not going to be the way I handle that long term, but um, I just did it for now just so I could at least have the map working, even though I'm not really going to use this map that much for now. Um, Not until I get a little bit further and I get all the animations and everything working, and then we'll come back to this map at some point. I'm also not using the Google Maps tiles here for several reasons. The main one being that my key is expired, and I'd actually have to go in and put my credit card in and start getting charged if I want to use them. But the other reason why is because they're just not quite as good. Uh, the They have a lot of pop in. maybe there's some way to get it set to where it wouldn't do that, but I've had a lot of trouble with it, with a lot of pop in. And I also have had issues with the roughness because the normals in the Google Maps tiles aren't set, and so they tend to be really um, they're not very smooth at all. Like as I roll down the runway, the aircraft is bouncing and jerking every direction because the surface is so not smooth. The way you're supposed to deal with that is to mask out uh, the the terrain where you need your runways, and then create your own runway models that you use. But that's something I will still have to do, but I don't want to deal with that right now. And so it makes sense just not to use the Google Maps tiles anyway. So, at any rate, that map works for now, but I'm not really going to use it. I'm going to use this one because all we really care about today, at least, is the animations. So, just make sure it still works. It does. So that's all I really need. So the way I'm going to do this is I'm going to create my own animation instance. And let me come in, and I think I was playing around with this. No, I don't have it here yet. So normally when you create an animation blueprint, you choose the skeleton and then you choose the parent class down here. It defaults to anim instance, and I'm going to change that to my own animation instance class. So we'll do add Unreal class. Actually, let me stop. I'm in debug mode. Let me stop that. And let me add Unreal class. I'm going to inherit from anim instance. And we'll call this Fox Aircraft anim instance. And it's a public vehicles aircraft anim instance. Okay. Make sure everything's spelled right. Looks okay. Okay, and I'm going to steal some code from my old third person template just to get us going here. Um, so give me 1 second. Actually, before I touch that, in my aircraft class, we have this movement component, but it's private, and we're going to need it from our anim instance class in order to get properties from it. So I'm going to create a inline method here. For some reason, I feel like this is not allowed. At least it wasn't at some point. I feel like if you returned a component from a function, it needed to be an old school pointer, but we'll see if this works. I can't remember if it was a return value or if it was you were passing in as a parameter. Can't remember which one it was, but one of them, T object pointer, didn't work. So we'll see what happens. Let me try to compile that and just see if it even compiles. Okay, that actually did compile. So now that we have that method where we can access the aircraft movement component, let me come in here, and what we're going to want is a U property. Um, we're going to call this um, aircraft, maybe. Oh, Right. Let's make this, there we go. So now I need to set that variable, and I'm going to do that in native initialize animation. I get pawn owner is going to be the method that we call to get the aircraft that owns this animation blueprint. Um, and for now, I'm going to see if what we could do is come in and create properties for uh, oh, uh, what we could do is come in and create properties for everything that we're going to animate, and we could set them in the uh, basically in the tick. I can't remember the name of that method. Native update animation. So we could come set all those variables, but I think what I'm going to try first is just see if I can just get everything I need right off of this guy uh, in my animation blueprint. So I'm going to go ahead and compile that and run in debug mode, and we'll get started on the animation blueprint. So I'll pause and wait for that to finish. Okay, so my editor is loaded. I'm going to come in to my vehicles, aircraft F-15 folder. I'm going to create a new animation blueprint. We're going to choose the F-15 skeleton. Down here, we're going to choose that anim instance that I just created as the parent class. We'll create that. We'll call it ABP underscore Fox aircraft 15. And so this is where it's going to come in handy that I brought over when I imported the F-15, I brought in the blueprint and the animation blueprint for reference purposes. So we can take a look at this and we can see what it does. And I think the first thing it does is animate the landing gear, which I don't actually have a key for that right now, so I'm going to skip right past that. I don't have a key for the air brake, but I do for the rudders. And you can see what it's doing for the rudders is it's just modifying the bones. So there's a right rudder and a left rudder, and it's just calling this transform bone and getting the angle of the rudder and making a rotator, passing it in, and this transform has got the proper bone selected for the proper rudder, and it does the right and the left. So we'll go ahead and create that. So we're going to start with mesh space ref pose. Okay, I'm gonna have to take a break here in a second and run to the store, but let me see if I can get something going here first real quick. So the very first thing it does, we're gonna do is the rudder. So what do I call it? Owning aircraft. I didn't need to make that private method after all. Well, let's see. Let's find out. State. What's that? State. Dot. Position. Maybe I'm gonna have to make variables. Well, that'll make things a little bit easier than having to pull all this stuff. So let me close this down and let's do this. Let's go ahead and do like I said we could do. Let's override. There we go. Generate definition. And let's make a property. So every frame, essentially, we're going to set the rudder position equal to the aircraft state's rudder position. And this will change when we go to do multiplayer. It won't be pulling from aircraft state, we'll be pulling from our own struct. But for now, we'll just grab aircraft state. And in addition to rudder, we're going to want So I will build that and start it in debug mode. I'll pause while I wait for it. Actually, I'll go ahead and take care of my errands real quick, and when I come back, it should be loaded and ready for me to go. Okay, I'm back. Now I need to remember what I was doing. Uh, let's see. Take a look at this animation blueprint here, and I'm gonna pull up the original as well. And we'll take a look at the rudder. We're just going to grab the rudder angle variable, set the yaw, make a rotator, set the yaw, pass it into modify bone. I don't know why they make two separate rotators. They could just make one, but let's kill that. Let's do, what did I call it? Rudder position. Make rotator. And we're actually going to pass this into the yaw. Break that link. And then we'll pass this into transform bone. And then in here we will come in and set up rudder. We'll do the left, and we'll duplicate it, and we'll do the right. Send the same rotator to this guy. Comment around that. Let's save it. And let's open up the blueprint for our aircraft. And in the skeletal mesh, we will come in here, use animation blueprint, and we'll pick our blueprint that we just created. And let's see what happens when we fire this up. Oh, out of video memory. Of course. Okay. Get everything relaunched here. Okay, everything's reloaded here. Let me fire this up. And maybe it did not save because I don't see my rudders moving. Okay, my blueprint is set. Still looks correct. We can log this. Components to O. That's the problem. All right, I don't need any of this. I forgot to tell it how to translate. Okay, so leave, we want replace existing on this. Let's see. There we go. Excellent. Okay, so we got our rudders moving. Let's take a look at our vigilante blueprint here, and we'll just do what it does. So it goes from rudders to stabilizers. They actually keep two separate variables there. Let's see where they get this from. Okay, so in the blueprint, that's stabilizer right angle. So they clamp that. Where do they call this function from? Probably from a tick somewhere. Not in here. Hmm. Interesting. I think I'm probably missing I think I probably didn't pull over something I would have needed to pull over in order to see what's happening there. I wonder where this value is coming from. Let me open up my code and we'll see if we can find where maybe they're grabbing that from. Because I find it interesting that they're setting the right and the left separately, which makes me think there's different variables I can grab that from. As I'm just grabbing elevator position. Let's see what else we got here. I'll have to wait for everything to load before I can see the types on that, I guess, or I can look at it in here. Well, I only see elevator position. So I'm going to go ahead and assume that they're just grabbing elevator position and pretending that they've got two different values. So they're modifying the rotation, I'm assuming. Yes, rotation, add to existing. That's interesting because that's not how I did the rudder. Let's see. They also did add to existing here, so that's probably what I should have. So let's change that to add to existing, add to existing. Let's save. Let's run. Yeah, you know what? I think that actually looks better because it was off a little bit. Okay, so down here we're gonna do elevator position, make a rotator, push this into pitch, break this link. Down here, transform. Our they call that rear aileron. Left rear aileron and right rear aileron joint. So left rear, you do existing on the rotator, duplicate that, right rear aileron. Save that, and let's come check it out. There we go. Now our elevators and our ailerons are moving. I mean, our elevators and our rudders. So now we just need the ailerons, and we'll take a look at how they do the ailerons. Okay, so we've got ailerons and we've got flaps. So they are doing for the ailerons, left aileron 1, right aileron 1. So this is probably aileron 2 down here. Yep, 2 and 2. Okay. And probably add to existing just like the others. Yep. Okay. Perfect. Okay. Let's just copy this, paste it here. This is going to be aileron 1. So left. Oh, you know what? Nope. That's right. Right aileron. Right aileron 1. And we already have, oh, interesting. I just noticed it's doing bone space in this other. No, because component space, that's translation, bone space. Let's take a look at back at these other ones, see if they're the same way. Yeah, bone space. Okay. So we need to change that. Should be bone space, bone space, bone, 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 go, aileron 1. Okay. So now we're going to come from here, here, here. Going to move ailerons. So leave. Now got ailerons. Ailerons, rudders, elevators. So we might as well go ahead and do flaps. We'll do flaps. We'll see if we can do the landing gear. I end up wanting to see how this is set. wheel position, range, clamped. It's clamping all of these from 0 to 1. I can do the same thing, and I can either do it in code or I can do it in the animation blueprint itself. I'll probably do it in code. Um, Rear wheel, front wheel, wheel right, rear wheel left. Could very well end up with aircraft that have more than just the 3 wheels, but I don't worry about that. All right, so in our code, and let me go ahead and kill this editor. In our code, we're going to need position. Okay, there we go. So now we need can't remember if aircraft state is where this is at. Okay. We're going to have years. Let me just go accept this. Let me create what is this, an F gear? I'll have to type this over and over. And let me go ahead and do curly braces around all this. I'm just going to go ahead and assume that if I have that all the aircraft that I'm going to simulate are going to have the main gear come up at the exact same speed. In other words, the left and right main gears are not going to come up at different speeds. I don't know if there are any aircraft that do that or not, but I'm going to pretend that there's not for now. And that should be the gear positions. And then I've got my gear and my flaps. Let me just put the flaps up here. There we go. But I need input for those. I don't have any input for either one. So um, let's see. I'm gonna need. Don't know how the flaps are gonna work on this. I may need this. This may need to be different. We'll see. Grab the main. Doesn't tell me if they're moving or not. Oh, it does have is up or is down though. Zero for up, one for down. Hoping that this will, by specifying the else if there, that if the gear are in transition, that this function will do nothing. So it won't let you toggle them until they're all the way up or all the way down. Let's see what the flaps, how the flaps work. Okay, between 0 and 1. Okay, so now we just need inputs. action for the gears, and we'll do an action for the flaps. Flaps are going to be tough because I think probably what we should have is different settings that line up. Not sure how I want to handle that. I'm gonna deal with flaps for now because really I think what we should have here is like 3 or 4 different keys. I don't know how many flap settings an F-15 has, but um, maybe there should just be 2 keys and it should go up and down in steps. Do that. Flaps up, action, flaps down, action. So flaps up completed. Okay, there we go. And then if we go back to the aircraft, okay, flaps up, flaps down, toggle gear. And we'll just, for now, to make this easy, since I don't actually know what the proper settings are, just do set them. We'll just do them in steps, which is definitely not right, but at least we'll see them actually move. Okay, flaps up, flaps down. Generate these definitions. Whoops. Okay. Now we just need to bind actions on the completed and tie into our method. Flaps up and flaps down. Okay, and now we just need to compile this and run it, and we're going to have to go create those input actions and map them through. So let's do that real quick. Actually, I had a couple of exceptions, just stupid mistake. Should be plus equal and minus equal. Let me go ahead and recompile that. So my editor's open, and there's a number of things I need to do. First is we'll come in here and put some input in, and really think, let's see, let's do input action here, do toggle here, and be digital. And we also want a digital for the flaps up and flaps down. So we'll copy that twice. Flaps up and flaps down. Get the way it expands everything when you add a new mapping here. Okay, toggle gear. We will do E key. And then what am I going to do for flaps up and down? Yes, F and V. Up and flaps down. And then we need to come into the player controller blueprint and hook those up. Down. Those are now hooked up. And then we need to come in our animation blueprint. And the first thing we'll do is the gear. So you can see what it does. I'm guessing this is that normalized position. Yeah, it's float, so that's probably what it is. So we're gonna lerp, and we're gonna show the animation sequence evaluator. Okay. Drag these three in. Maybe that's not gonna work because we need sequence evaluator by time. Sequence evaluator by time. And sequence, I'm assuming I set that up here somewhere. Well, maybe I do this. Been a long time since I've done this. So front wheel. What in the world? Let me take a look at this again. Okay, it's under sequence. Sequence evaluator by time. Sequence. Front wheel. There we go. Okay. And then we're just gonna lerp. Apply additive. There we go. That should be the nose gear. Then we just need the same thing for the main gear. go. So that's our left main gear. Now our right main gear. Left rear wheel. Okay, I did the wrong one. That should be right. This should be left. Left rear, right rear. Comment on that. Landing gear. Save everything and see if I don't run out of memory here. Okay. Double check. Everything still works. Let me hit the throttle. Here. Nothing's happening. What about my aircraft state here? Where's my landing gears at? Okay, they're up the top. So gear down is 1. If I hit G, nothing's happening. So I need to set a breakpoint, figure out where that's gone wrong. Except I don't think, am I running in debug mode? I can't remember. Yes, I am. Okay. I'm gonna toggle gear. Fire this up. Hit the throttle. Hit G. We are in the code. Optimizations are on. Okay. This down is true. I have a lot of memory issues on this machine. Fire everything back up. Now, looking at this code, I'm fairly certain I just have this backwards. That should be 0. That should be 1. So I'm going to wait for this to finish loading and I'm going to compile and restart. Actually, I think I have these backwards too. Like this should be minus and this should be plus. Yeah. Because I think when the flaps are fully up, this would be 0. And one of these is backwards. So if the flap position is greater than 0, let me think about this for a minute. Flaps up, when they're all the way up, this will be 0. We're going minus 0.1. I don't know which direction. That's the problem. I don't know which direction is the positive direction. So I'm going to put this as minus, and then this needs to be flap position is less than 1. Let's do that. See if that works. I'll compile it once it's finished loading. Okay, so I've got everything reloaded. I'm gonna try to do something really quick here with the flaps because this video is running way longer than I wanted. So I'm gonna paste this code in that I got straight out of the the animation blueprint that came with the 15. And we're gonna take the flaps position, throw that in the pitch, throw it in the pitch, and the rest of these should already be set correctly. Yep. Comment on that. Grab this guy, come down here, and then come up. And whether this works or not, I think we're going to end the video right here because this has gotten way too long. Okay, so FB, I think, what I used for flaps. I do see the flaps changing. My debug info, although they're only going down, not up, because I suspect my code is wrong there because the number's going negative. But what I really want is flap position is less than 0. The animation is not working, but at least I can see the values going up, and I think we'll see the same thing if we take a look at the landing gear real quick. This may crash because I'm running out of memory again. So take off, get it in the air, hit the G key, and gear down changes to 0 on my debug info, but you can see that my gear are not moving at all. And if I hit G again, now gear down goes to 1, but my gear nothing's changing. So
I'm gonna stop it there, and we'll have to fix the flaps and the landing gear on the next video because this I wanted to keep these under an hour, and this is already way over an hour. So um, just look and make sure. Yeah, it looks like everything's hooked up correctly. So all right, so I'll stop there, and the next video will be fixing the flaps and the gear, and maybe I'll animate the nozzles on the engine as well, and maybe we can do the canopy and the speed brake as well. Why not? We'll see how far we can get. Anyway, I'll stop there, and uh, that'll be it for now, and we'll finish up with the animations in the next video. So until then, take care.